Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. We love to get into all the nitty-gritty details, and today we're tackling the British monarchy in 2024. You sent in some really juicy sources packed with scandals, secrets, and of course, those ongoing debates about the royals.
Definitely a lot to unpack.
There is. We're
Yeah.
talking about King Charles and Prince Harry and Meghan, and the big question looming over it all, can the monarchy even survive in this day and age?
Yeah. You know what strikes me is it's fascinating how, even with all this talk about modernizing, the monarchy is facing some very classic problems, like King Charles wanting to slim down the monarchy. But that's proving to be, well, a bit of a royal mess.
Okay, slim down monarchy. What does that even look like in reality?
Well, it boils down to fewer working royals and kind of streamlining their duties. One source I saw even mentioned Charles wants to limit how many royals actually get taxpayer funding.
So it's not just about appearances, it's about actual budget cuts.
Exactly. It's tricky, though, because we're talking about changing traditions and protocols that have been around for centuries, not to mention potentially upsetting some very important family members.
Yeah, I can see how that would cause some friction.
And all of this is happening while everyday Brits are dealing with a rising cost of living. Some of your sources even included a poll that said 60% of people think the monarchy is just too expensive.
So the pressure is really on for Charles to show that the monarchy is worth the cost.
For sure. It's a tough sell when you have sources detailing Charles's renovations to Buckingham Palace, a project estimated to cost hundreds of millions of pounds.
Yeah, how does it square with his whole service over self message?
Right. It's a bit of a disconnect. You're trying to project an image of a fiscally responsible and relatable monarchy,
Right.
but then you have these lavish expenditures, makes you wonder how effective that PR strategy can really be.
And it's not just the budget that's causing headaches for Charles, is it? There have been some reports about his health, too?
Yeah, a few of your sources mention rumors of cancer treatment, although the palace hasn't officially confirmed anything. But even just the rumors, whether they're true or not, they're adding fuel to the fire for those who question whether Charles can really lead in the long term.
And some people are even saying that if his health is declining, it would be better for the monarchy if he stepped back and let William take over. The argument is that William and Kate would bring a sense of stability, especially at a time when the monarchy is under so much scrutiny.
It's a valid point. William and Kate are seen as the more modern face of the monarchy, especially their focus on issues like mental health and connecting with the public through social media. They are definitely shaping how people view the royals, especially younger generations.
So some of your sources are saying the monarchy needs that youthful energy and relevance now more than ever.
Mm.
But they also point out that it might be hard to pull off a smooth transition with all these other challenges going on.
Absolutely. And that actually brings us perfectly to the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the role of the royal family's most well-known disruptors, Harry and Meghan.
It feels like you can't talk about the future of the monarchy without talking about Harry and Meghan. They've really made their own path, haven't they?
Oh, for sure. Even after stepping back from royal duties, it seems like they're constantly making headlines.
Yeah.
Every move they make is debated and scrutinized, both by the public and, from what I've read, within the palace as well.
One of the sources even called them a PR nightmare for the monarchy. But their latest move is really interesting to me. They just signed a huge production deal with Spotify, right?
Yeah, through their company, Archwell Media. And that's where it gets a little ironic. They left the royal family to get away from the media spotlight. And now here they are, building their own media empire.
It's like they're playing a whole different game now, using the media on their own terms, controlling their own narrative.
Exactly. Like their recent trip to Nigeria, the press dubbed it the unofficial royal visit. Caused a lot of buzz. Some sources even said it angered palace aides. They saw it as Harry and Meghan trying to capitalize on their royal connections.
So is this all strategic? Are they intentionally pushing boundaries and challenging the monarchy?
It's tough to say. Some sources think they are strategically building their own brand, separate from the institution but still using their royal status. But others argue that it's more about them pursuing their own passions and projects, like their work with mental health advocacy.
I can see both sides. On the one hand, they are raising awareness about important issues, but it does seem like they're walking a fine line between being independent and leveraging their royal ties. What do you think their motivation is?
Probably a mix of things, to be honest. It's complicated. They have personal goals. They want to control their story. And they have this platform that's undeniably tied to their royal status, whether they want it to be or not.
And it's all happening while there's this bigger debate about the monarchy's relevance, especially for younger generations. One source even mentioned a poll that found only 40% of Brits under 30 care about the monarchy. That's a pretty shocking statistic.
Yeah, it shows a real disconnect between Gen Z and the institution. Younger people have different values, different priorities. They grew up online, they're more global, and maybe they're just not as impressed by tradition and hierarchy.
So what does all this mean for the future of the monarchy?
Yeah.
Can they close that gap? Or are they going to become a thing of the past?
That's the big question, right? And it's one the monarchy is definitely struggling with. They are trying to adapt, trying to appear more modern and relatable.
Like William and Kate, they're seen as that modern face of the monarchy, right? They seem to be putting a lot of effort into connecting with younger people, talking about things like mental health and climate change, even their social media presence.
For sure. They're engaging with topics that younger generations care about, using platforms they use every day. But the question is that enough? Can they overcome the bigger problems the monarchy is facing?
And that's where it gets even more complicated. Because it's not just about modernizing their image. There are some serious issues that need to be addressed. Things that go way beyond public relations, like Prince Andrew's connection to Jeffrey Epstein, and the growing calls for reparations over colonialism. Those aren't easy topics. And they definitely cast a shadow over the entire institution. It's like they're walking a tightrope, right? Acknowledging the past, addressing these huge controversies, but at the same time, they need to protect the monarchy's image. It's a tough balancing act.
Definitely. And one source pointed out a really interesting problem. The monarchy is under a lot of pressure to apologize for its role in colonialism. Some people are even demanding reparations. But if they do that, it could weaken their authority and open them up to even more criticism.
So how do they deal with this? Can they really modernize and make up for past mistakes without risking their own existence?
It's the big question, isn't it? It's going to take some careful maneuvering and a willingness to make some difficult decisions. They have to acknowledge the concerns of those who feel hurt by the monarchy's actions. But they also have to preserve the institution for the future.
And this is all happening in the age of social media, where everything gets blown out of proportion. One wrong step could go viral, and that could be it.
Absolutely. It's a completely different world for them. They can't control the narrative the way they used to.
Which reminds me of something interesting from the sources. You know, Princess Charlotte's TikToks have gone viral. It seems like she's become this accidental internet star. And some people are saying she could be the key to connecting with Gen Z.
It's a good point. It shows how unpredictable the media is. Even something small can grab everyone's attention. It also shows the power of being genuine. People like to see real moments, even from royalty.
It makes you wonder if the monarchy could use social media to their advantage. Could they connect with younger people on their own turf? Or is that too big of a risk?
It's a gamble, for sure. There's always a chance of messing up and getting backlash. But if they can find a way to use these platforms, right, to show the more human side of the monarchy, it could be a good way to build relationships with younger generations.
So after digging into all these sources, what do you think? Can the monarchy survive in this crazy world we live in? Can it even do well?
It's hard to say. It really is a turning point for them. They're facing challenges like never before, from all sides. But they have opportunities too. The decisions they make now are going to be so important. Are they going to stick with tradition, or are they going to embrace change? Are they going to avoid controversy or face it head on? The answers to those questions will determine their future.
It's a lot to think about, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds.
Mhm.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to ponder. And for everyone listening, here's something to chew on. Can the monarchy find that sweet spot between tradition and progress? Can they change and adapt without losing the values and history that have defined them for so long?
It's a great question. And as we've seen, the answers might come from the most unexpected places. Maybe a princess on TikTok, or a prince finding his own way outside the palace walls, or a king trying to make sense of a world that's changing faster than ever.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the British monarchy. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep sending us those deep dive requests.